My name's Mike, and I am the owner of Southpaw RV Inspections and Services, and we're located in Southwest Washington area. So my business goes all the way up almost south of Seattle to the coast. And then I've covered most of Oregon. So I've gone down to Eugene, even south of Eugene, and over to Central Oregon. So I cover a pretty wide area. Uh, I'll travel up to hour and a half, 2 hours. And then after that, then it starts additional travel charge. And so as far as myself, I was in accounting for over 31 years, and it was kind of time to do something else. And so I thought, well, what happens if I retire? And I decided to do something else. And so what's interesting is that we were camping at our favorite camping location down kind of south of Eugene, Oregon, and I walked by and somebody had an NRVTA bumper sticker. And when I talked to them, they were actually inspectors. And so my brother was with me, who had just actually gotten laid off of his job. And so we started talking about it. We talked to them. And a bit later, he goes, I need to talk to you. He goes, I'm going back to Texas to do the tech course. I'm going to do 5 weeks. He goes, you should do the inspector course. So, okay, great. So that's why I went back, and I was overlapped him a couple of weeks. And that's kind of why I do it, because we love RVing. And I wanted to change a pace for my final years of, quote, a career, if you will. The difference between a dealership PDI and what I do, um, when a customer calls me, they're already wondering, or the dealership has said, we do a PDI. What do you do different, Mike? And I said, well, I only offer a premium or premier inspection. I don't offer anything less. So mine's 500 points of inspection, and we're testing everything. We're testing, obviously, the roof, all the outside, visually looking at the chassis, electrical, water, all the appliances, inside completely. And I have seen dealership PDIs, and it's a checkbox. Does the water turn on? Yes. Do they work it on city, or do they work it on the pump? We don't know, right? So it's just a checkbox they go down. And also, who does a PDI, generally speaking, I can't say this all the time, but generally speaking, is a new tech that works, let's say, for a dealership, because they're not going to take their best techs to do a PDI when they can make a lot more money on big repairs that they've got sitting in their shop. So, I have a fifth wheel currently, and we bought our fifth wheel. The guy that did the PDI also did the walkthrough for me. And we're walking through, and I open up the water heater, and I said, what's this button right here? And he looks at me and he goes, I don't know. And I said, well, that would be so you could turn on the electrical element and you can use electric water heater instead of the gas. He goes, oh, that's good to know. So that's kind of how I explain it. I do Premier, I do 500 points. A PDI is a one-page checklist that things work. And even kind of hook onto that, dealerships, at least in my area now, are offering their own inspection for about $1,800 for, let's say, a fifth wheel. It's like, and they go, I don't think I trust them. So that's why, we're here, is to be a, independent third party. So some of the most common issues I find, it really depends on what they're doing. If they're buying new, here's what I'm finding on new RVs is that electrical, inverters, battery hookups, and some people are ordering solar, and sometimes they just don't work. I had a brand new, and I won't mention the brand, but a brand new 2026 toy hauler, and they added lithium, they added solar, and I couldn't even get the electrical to work. And it wasn't that the lithium batteries were, quote, turned off. It was miswired. And when you start getting into class A's and all these expensive ones, it's usually the touchscreen, whether it's a Firefly or something like that, and then the inverters. You could have 3,000 watt inverters, and they're not working. So for newer ones, it's mostly the electrical side and some slide out issues, which are always going to have slide outs that aren't square. On the used side, it's a whole different thing, because if people are calling me, the first thing I say is, what year is it? 2018. Great. When do they buy new tires? Well, I don't know, but the tread looks really good. Well, that's great. But if it's a 2018, it's a 2017 tire and they've aged out, right? And tires are made to roll and they're sitting. So the first question is, you think you have a good deal if you're getting a fifth wheel, you're going to put 4 or 5 new tires on it. If you're getting a Class A, you're looking at 8 to 10 grand in tires, depending on if you have just the dualies in the back or tag axle. And then on top of that, what I really try to explain in used ones is, and I'm kind of going a little bit away, but common issues I find is ask them about maintenance. What do they do? What do they do on the roof? Because when you start getting one, even a couple, 3 years old, if they haven't cleaned the roof at all or done any maintenance, you have areas of sealant are bad, and it just goes on and on. So that's really, it's kind of two sides of what I'm finding, new versus used. I try not to offend people, but if they're calling me, that means that they've watched YouTube or they've done something, or they're on forum groups. They want to buy this Class B van, and I just did a Class B van the other day, and they're on forum groups and they're saying, "Oh, we found these problems, these problems, these problems," and so they're a little bit nervous. But when they call me, I try to say, if it's new, yes, they're going to say it's good, but I've never not gone in there and not found issues. Um, and it's not that that's what I have to do. I would love to go in and not have to write a report. That would be phenomenal, but that's not the case. So really on new people is, let's look at it and be realistic, because what happens is they just get so excited and so giddy that they're going to buy it no matter what I find, because, oh, it's a great deal. And I just had a fifth wheel last week, and it was a used one. It had some, I believe, water issues, but this person wanted it. They're going to live in it full time, and they were bound and determined to get it. So found problems, tried to get them fixed the best we could with the dealership. 2 days later, they get it to the place, and she calls me saying this or that, and I'm so really, my thing is don't get too excited. Be realistic. Back up and let me take a look at it, and then let's have a conversation on what I find. And most of the time, I don't know if they buy them or not. I really don't. So it's kind of interesting. So for my inspection reports, when I was at the NRVTA, they taught us HomeGauge, and I know in the inspector industry, there's a lot of different software that people use. I still use HomeGauge. A couple reasons for that. One, I was an accountant for 31 years, so and I managed a computer audit group. And so I understand software, and I know a lot of people have difficulties with HomeGauge. It's a little bit clunky, but I find it so good because it's so detailed. So I tell them two things. I said, number one, when you get my report, it's on my online portal. It's a PDF document, and it's huge, hundreds of pages, but you're going to get all this information because, I only do premier level inspections. Data plates, all this information that you're going to have. What's great about it is you can create a request list to CRL. You click the button, you create a separate PDF document. It's got pictures. It has all my findings, whether it's life and safety, major, minor. And if you want to enter in my note comments, you can do that. That's your punch list that you give to the dealership. And they go, and that's a big selling point. And you have to make sure you do that, is to create the request list. And honestly, on other softwares that other inspectors use, I don't know how they do that. And I've looked at it a little bit, but I'm content with HomeGauge. So it's a create request list. And I said, here's another tip. You're going to send that to the dealership. They're going to say, oh yeah, we will get these fixed for you. Print out a copy, take it with you, and do the best you can when you go to buy it to make sure that especially the critical things are being fixed, because unfortunately, sometimes they all don't get fixed. It depends if it's a new, yes, because it could be warranty stuff that the dealerships get repaired on. If it's used, it could be a sale as is, and they're only going to repair the major stuff or water stuff, what they call, some will call it catastrophic stuff. Could be a battery, it could be sweep, bulb seal issues. But if they don't fix those things on a used one, that is your list to know what you need to fix, and if you can do it, or if you hire a mobile tech to come out and do it for you. So that's kind of how I explain it, and that seems to work out really well. And you really kind of need to hit that up front. when they call you your whole process on how you do it. So my name is Mike with Southpaw RV Inspections, and if you're looking for an inspection in Washington or the Oregon area, please give me a call. You can find me at mike@southpawrvinspections.com. My website is southpawrvinspections.com, and give me a call. As you can tell, I might be a little bit older, and I'd love to just chat with people on the phone, and you can reach me at 360-839-3306.